Hello and welcome to another edition of Grandstanders Live. I'm your host, Scott Kerman, and I'm joined by my usual cohorts, the Professor, Russ Stevens, and Uncle Joe McLaughlin. JP's first son, Tim Hoey, hopefully will be with us about halfway through the show. Well, boys, we have another great show for you tonight. So we have so many topics to get, so we got to get started here. We start with the Boston Celtics, 19-17, fourth spot in the Eastern Conference. It's not about what they've done or what they will do. It's all about who will they acquire. Grandstanders Live's breaking news desk, Otto Porter apparently may be bought out. I think if you can get Otto Porter for free, a guy, a 12.6 rebound type of guy, that's the guy you could fit in there right away and not have to pay a lot.
You get that on a buyout. I wouldn't give up anything for him, but on a buyout, I'd bring him in. You know, he's historically been a 3-and-D guy. He can shoot threes, and we just you know how valuable those guys are. Remembering that Miami Heat series last year when they went to a zone and we could do nothing with it. You need guys like Otto Porter.
Yeah, Otto Porter gives the Celtics flexibility, and is also in a sense, Joe, that Otto Porter can score 25 points in a game. He can carry some offensive load.
Yeah, I just hope he's got the, mentally he's ready to play and come try to win a championship.
Yeah.
A lot of times he's been bought out, he's fat and happy.
Yeah.
He might not have any motivation.
But this is what waters down the what you pay for players at the deadline as opposed to in the offseason. Because you have buyouts too, the value of a Harrison Barnes and what you're going to pay for him is less because you could try to go get an Otto Porter.
You have more leverage at this time of year for sure. The only problem with this year is because of the play-in and the shorter schedule, there are a lot more teams that at least think they're in the race this year than they have been historically, right? So the Chicago Bulls are sitting just a couple of games out of being in the playoffs this year.
Right. And Miami Heat going to the finals at the 5th spot, Joe, gives people encouragement that maybe they could get lightning in a bar.
Yeah. Otherwise, the Chicago Bulls have no right to, their fans have no right to entertain thoughts of playoffs and going anywhere in them. But like Russ said, now the 10 teams in each division, that's 2/3 of the league are going to be in the playoffs.
That's right. And then you throw in, Scotty, as you were referencing Miami, you throw in that the home court advantage this year is going to be minimal at best. And you could be the 6th seed and make a run at it.
Absolutely. Yeah. Look, we've talked for years about Danny Ainge making a move at the deadline. He must do a move to this time, or I think Danny Ainge is out the door if he doesn't.
I read today it's been since 2015
that he's made a move
at the deadline.
Yeah.
And what was that, Isaiah Thomas?
Isaiah Thomas.
Yeah.
It's been a long time. And I agree sometimes, that you don't want to pay the price. He's always looking 2 or 3 or 4 years ahead. He doesn't seem to care about what's happening right now sometimes.
Yeah, no, that's a great point. And Russ, like Timmy always says, he really does want to ream you as far as the deal goes. And these GMs, there's some bad GMs, but they're not going to buy this. It's and that's what happened with the Miles Turner deal. He ended up trying to get more, and he got nothing.
Well, in 5-10 years ago, you could count on the fact that a third to maybe a half of the GMs in the league were just stupid, just not up to par. So it was easier for Danny to really take these guys to the cleaners in the past. Well, the fact is now, you look around the league, there aren't many bad GMs. They've all used analytics. They've hired the right people. There are not as many mistakes as there used to be.
Yeah, absolutely. When we talk about who do we have to offer, I think you start with Grant Williams. I think he's the guy most likely out the door where a team can sell the fact that this guy was a number 1 pick last year. He has potential. It just doesn't seem to be working out in the Celtics. Joe, I think he's the number 1 guy to go out.
Do you think someone else would really want him?
I think he does have some
Well,
value.
I don't think he has value around the league. Tell you the truth. If maybe the people who watched him in the playoffs last year, they might, they might be able. These guys are all like you were saying earlier about the Russ was saying earlier. A lot of those GMs used to be guys from other industries that didn't know what they were doing. Now it's pretty much all basketball people. They
See,
want to win
Scotty,
a
I see three sets of sort of redundant players, pairs of players. I think Grant is redundant with Shemi. They're both just corner. They're big bodies. They can't guard threes. They can barely guard fours, and they can shoot corner threes. Another redundant pair is Neesmith and Langford, two, slighter wings, 6'5", 6'6", pretty decent D. One can shoot, the other can't. And then the third redundancy, to think about during this trade deadline is Thompson and Tice, because if you really want to play Time Lord more, you should try to create some space for him. And I could imagine that either Thompson or Tice goes out. So you could theoretically take one of each one of those pairs and send them out and not lose anything.
Right. But if you were making a deal right now, who's the guy that you'd like to see go?
I mean, I'd like to see Grant Williams go, or I'd like to see Shemi go, but I don't think those guys have the value that Langford, Neesmith, Tice, or Thompson have.
Yeah, he's the Neesmith. They're not going to give up on. He's the freshest guy out there.
Yeah.
Langford is the guy, though. It'd have to be a team that really liked Langford going into the draft last year, and think they can get something out of him.
They'll never play a game for us, and then end up being the Chauncey Billups of this era.
Yeah, right. Yeah, that's a great point. Tatum and Brown, Jason Tatum recruiting Brandon Beal over the All-Star weekend. That's what your stars do in the NBA. We've seen it. We've seen with Kevin Durant and Kyrie. Is this what a role that Tatum and Brown have to play moving forward, is bringing what we would consider the third of a big three to Boston?
Absolutely. And I tell you what's interesting, I read this in The Athletic today to give them props, that Kemba's contract is up after the 22-23 season. And if they were to bring in Harrison Barnes and a couple of the other guys that have been rumored, that contract would be up after the 22-23 season. So you could be looking at after 22-23, when guess what? Bradley Beal's contract is finally up by then. You'd have basically on your team Tatum and Brown and room for a third full-blown superstar.
But how old is Bradley now?
He's only like 25, 26 tops, Joe. Like
it seems like he's been around for a while.
He would be in his prime. So Scotty, to your point, that becomes Tatum and Brown recruiting the third player to their super team when the Celtics would have room again under the salary cap.
All right, well, it looks like we're going to, at 19 and 17, if you look at the standings, fourth spot looks like, we know it's a shortened season, 72 games, I think. But we know that the standings don't change much when you get later in the season, the second half of the season. Fourth spot, maybe the spot they are. It'll be very interesting to see who they end up playing in the first round. But I'm more encouraged that they're going to get there now.
Yeah,
I just want them to take a path that doesn't have to go through Brooklyn and Philly.
That's right, Joe. Yeah, that's what you don't want. You don't want to have Brooklyn and Philly. So you probably look. I don't know that the seeding really matters as long as you're not 7 through 10. But Joe's point is, if you're 4, you got to go through Philly, probably Philly and Brooklyn, right? As opposed to
tough task. Absolutely. Yeah, we want the Nets to get beat up before we ever see them. That's for sure. Yeah. We'd like to see one of those big three get injured, which is a big possibility with those three.
Kenny actually lost that trade when you stop and think about it. We had all these draft picks. Brooklyn was nothing. But now that all the chips have fallen, the draft picks have been made,
Oh, he did not lose that trade. He may not have maxed it out, but he got Tatum and Brown out of that
Yeah, what are
trade.
you talking
But
about?
Brooklyn has maxed out better than he
Yeah,
did.
but that not
Yeah, but
because
the
of
returns for KG, I mean KG and Pierce didn't do anything
Was
for him.
awesome, isn't it? It's the two J's, is what it is.
Yeah, well, that's your foundation for the next 5 or 10 years. Yeah.
Joe,
Yeah.
you may have acquired 2 Hall of Fame players in that
Oh,
deal.
I bet you both are in the Hall of Fame easily.
Yeah.
I mean, the last time we heard that was called Robert Parrish and Kevin McHale.
Yeah.
I mean, that was a pretty good deal. We'll give him his props on that one. All right, go the New England Patriots. Maybe you heard of them. Well, breaking news: Patriots acquired Trent Brown, who we loved in 2018. The guy is just huge, blocks the sun. He was a stud in 18 as we went on to win the Super Bowl. I'm glad he's back.
Yeah, Joseph, I've been waiting to hear your analysis of this.
Well, I just think he's Toonie insurance. The Toonie's going to be gone. They're not going to pay $15, $16 million for a guy when they can go out and give him a pay cut. He's only getting $11 million to come in, and they can push Isaiah the Bust win over.
Well, he gets 11 million if he meets.
A guy coming out of college anyway. Everyone said he was a guard. Skarnecki made him into a tackle, and his guard is his natural position.
Another ex-Patriot who wants back in. So all this bullshit about nobody wants to play for Bill Belichick. All they want to do is come back. They got paid and they want to come back home. So I'm not buying any of that. Yeah, you're right, Russ. This is big for Uncle Joe because he studies the offensive line. Toonie's gone. Do we sign David Andrews? I know you've never been a big fan.
Yes. Although there is a center in the draft that would be Bill Belichick's wet dream. You know, just a huge guy that can maul as a run
There's
guy.
two of them. What guy are you talking about? The guy from Oklahoma or the other guy from Florida State?
Oh no, the Florida State guy. He's
Yeah.
big, and fast. So, but
Yeah,
I think they bring Andrews back. I think he'll be cost effective. He's not gonna break the bank. No one's knocking down the doors for him, and so he'll be back.
And if you do you think, Joe, that they release Cannon because of this move as well?
Almost guaranteed.
Yeah.
Almost guaranteed.
Yeah.
I think also the development of course, Owenu is penciled in as a guard, but also of Justin Herron.
Mhm.
That, he came out of nowhere too, and that he's a guy who has flexibility, can play tackle and guard, and he's your perfect sixth guy, who can fill in at the position.
We've talked about this on this show. I think the offensive line is the foundation of the house that an NFL team is built on, and Joe will no doubt. And if you've got a top offensive line, you can do a lot of things offensively.
If you can run at will, you can dictate to the defense every play.
Yeah.
If you can average 5 or 6 yards per carry each time, the defense can never set up for anything.
And what we've seen, if he can stay healthy, and that's a big if, is Damian Harris. It looks like that type of runner, the Nick Chubb type. That when you have a good offensive line, you can run 30 times a game, and that's exactly what the Patriots want because their defense will still be a weak part of the team.
Yeah, isn't the obvious next step for them to given what they're doing in the line is to get a top tight end like Hunter Henry?
Guaranteed. If you're gonna run the ball, it helps. I mean, Gronkowski was wonderful for so many years. They just ran to his side every time. He mauled linebackers. Those edge defenders just got out of the way.
Yeah.
But I'd love. I don't know about Hunter Henry. He's probably going to be too pricey for Bill.
Yeah.
He'll probably go down a little in price. They've got like 5 tight ends on the roster right now.
Yeah.
None of them really good.
Well, Bill has a man crush on Hunter Henry, so we'll see. But everybody talks about Smith from Tennessee, who was not franchise tagged.
Right.
It sounds like he'd be a good fit too.
He's a big kid too. Yeah. Yeah, I'd love to see, hopefully they're going to give these 2 tight ends or Asiasi some time to develop. hopefully he's not a bust, but you got to go into next year with a tight. I don't care who your quarterback is, but you got to go into next year with a really solid tight end.
Well, the moment I heard Trent Brown was acquired, I said, okay, there's no question Jimmy G's coming next.
Well, there's a lot of questions with Trent. Trent had motivation problems, shall we say, out there.
No, he got injured because he had what?
They said he was fat and out of shape.
Look, here, it's a contract year. The best thing that Belichick did in this deal is cut a year off the contract and turn this into a contract year. He's going to play his ass off this year.
But also,
his best year was his best year before was that contract year where we took him for a year last time.
But Joe, he can max out at 11 million, but a lot of that has to be incentives that he has to meet. So that could end up being, I don't know what, $7-8 million contract if he doesn't watch himself.
For next year, though, I think.
But seriously, look, if you want Jimmy G, who there's no question is fragile, to be your quarterback, then you need the best offensive line that money can buy. And that's why they're shoring it up. That's why they're focusing on this first. I think it's because of Jimmy G.
Oh, Timmy, what you walked into? It's all Jimmy G. It's the Jimmy G channel.
Oh, well, did he shave this week, or did he let the beard grow in a little bit? I love the Trent Brown signing, though. I think, that was like the best news that I heard. I said, you know what? If you're going to start this building process with one thing, what better than a 6'8", 380-pound offensive left tackle?
I had read something that there's been very rare to have two guys side by side over 350 pounds in the NFL, and we'll have that with Owenu and Trent Brown.
Listen, we know what's sexy. The sexier the receivers and the running backs, and the football's about the line. We saw it when the Giants beat the Patriots when we were 19-0, and the Giants just had an incredible defensive line, and they tortured Brady, and we lost. And
so, what's our Jimmy G temperature this week? Do we think he's the next quarterback of the Patriots?
Listen, what's our alternative?
Gardner Minshew.
Yeah, Minshew. No, I think it's between Jameis Winston and Jimmy G.
Really?
Yeah, I really think it's going to be one of those guys. I would not be shocked if it wasn't Winston. And if he wants to go out and get Hunter Henry, I don't think he can afford to go get Jimmy G.
Oh, sure he can. Yeah, he can fit both of those guys in.
No, he can fit them both in, but is he going to want to shore up other parts of the?
They have $68.5 million.
Yeah, but that's before you release Cannon. That's before you're probably going to trade Gilmore.
Renegotiate Hightower.
Yeah,
this Brown signing opened up so much flexibility with those expensive offensive linemen. It's incredible.
Yep.
It opened up, like 6 variable ways he could go.
That's right, Timmy. Yeah.
I'm not going to be shocked if Joe Tooney's back on the team. No. We'll see. We'll 0%. See. I don't think there's I don't think it's 0.
He's wanted all over the league. The Jets wants him. Everyone.
Look at Wynn goes to his natural position right now, right? He's not out of position.
Yeah.
He goes to a place he's comfortable with,
Yeah, but Wynn's always hurt him.
Andrews comes back, right?
Yep.
If he signs, yeah.
We got the other kid there, the other 350. Oh, I can't say.
When you, yeah.
When you, and what's that leave us? Cannon, who might or not, who knows?
I think Cannon's going to get cut. Yeah.
They got along just fine without him.
Yeah, I don't think.
So now we're going. Okay, we have a good offensive line.
Yep.
Well, we had a good offensive line last year, but we're just we're keeping that up, and that was probably the strongest part of our team.
Yeah, one box check. You know what I mean?
All right, so I'm hearing rumors, if you can believe it, that teams. I don't even believe this. I can't believe I'm saying it. The teams are interested in N'Keal Harry and
that's a phony rumor that Belichick puts out there.
He fights for the balls. He's good at fighting for the balls. That's because he's always close to the defensive back, right?
How about Zach Ertz for N'Keal Harry?
In a heartbeat.
Yeah,
for sure.
Philly does need wide receivers.
Yeah.
Yeah, maybe they like him. You never know, but
I doubt it. No one's going to put a bag of balls for him.
you're,
Sixth-round pick, maybe.
it
Sixth
just
or
feels
seventh-round
so,
pick.
it feels so much like you guys have said that Bill Belichick's going to trade down in the draft and take a defensive lineman.
I wouldn't be surprised.
Yeah.
I mean,
Take, do you want, or maybe for trading down, you get 2 good defensive linemen.
Yeah. Well, the other good news is there were a couple of wide receivers who were not tagged. Kenny Golladay, there are a couple guys that if they wanted to go get a top receiver, which I'm not sure they do,
yeah.
who are available.
But our number one concern is someone to throw the ball to these receivers.
Yeah.
Have the Patriots ever signed a big time free agent wide receiver? I don't, right?
Not in their prime.
Yeah.
No,
Not in
well,
their prime.
Welker was a trade. Right? Wasn't Walker a
He
trade?
was a restricted free agent.
Yeah.
They signed him.
Yeah.
That's why they had to trade him.
Yeah, well,
Nobody-
Ocho Cinco.
Right. Nobody in their prime. No.
So, I mean, no, it's not going to happen
Oh,
now.
wait, hang on. Well, they traded for Brandon Cooks, right?
Yeah, that's who I was just thinking of.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Second
right.
round draft pick for the stiff we got last year.
They traded for
But I'm
him.
talking about
They
paying
traded
big
for that
bucks.
kid with the Colts. He's still on the team. He's,
Yeah.
not
Yeah.
a stiff either.
Yeah, but paying big bucks. Yeah, they haven't done it. They're not
I
going
don't
to do
think
it.
I don't think Bill believes in that. There are guys who are constantly one play away from being out 3 or 4 games at a time. I think he trusts investing on guys who are going to be on the field all the time. And I think
Well, there's going to be lots of NFL talk, lots of Patriots talk in the next few weeks. There's going to be a lot of player movement. I can't wait.
We think it's all about the quarterback. Belichick thinks it's a lot more than just about the quarterback.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Like he really thought he could win with Cam Newton. He clearly did.
Well,
He
the first 3 week Cam Newton we could have won with. It's the guy that came after COVID, it seems like. I don't know how much of a factor that was, but he was a different person after COVID, that's for sure.
All right, boys. I told you we call the Red Sox. I know the Red Sox are going to be a good team. I think the Red Sox are going to end up making the playoffs. I am telling you something. There is competition in camp. They're deep. Chaim Bloom has done a good job shoring up
Shekels. I am willing to put money on this one, Scotty.
All right.
We're going to talk shekels after the show.
Okay, absolutely.
They can't. Their division's too good. There's 3 teams better than them in that division. If they were in any other division, they're in the playoffs for sure.
We'll see. I'm going to tell you something. I think the Red Sox are going to win 90 games. I think they're going to rise.
Do I get odds on that? Do I get odds on that?
I'm not going to do the predictions right now.
Can I get a word in edgewise here?
Yeah.
First off, this is a breath of fresh air. Somebody needs to sort of do a drug test on Scotty because I'm not quite sure who replaced Dr. Death with
that medication, Russell. It's kicking in nicely.
I told you. I've been talking up the Red Sox for a few weeks now. What are you talking about?
By the way, I generally agree with you. I think the Red Sox are going to be better than most of us think.
Look, there are very few teams that have Devers, Xander, Verdugo, Martinez, and Vasquez. When you have that 5, and then if you can get some production from the Dahlbecks, the Kiki Hernandez, the Marwin Gonzalez and stuff, you create a team that if you have 7, 8 productive guys in the lineup, are you kidding me? That's a good team.
But they got the Teletubbies for starting pitching staff.
Yeah.
Not true. Not true.
We've always had the offense, Scotty. It's been the pitching.
Look, you got a guy like Erod who absolutely, if healthy, could be a number 1 starter in major leagues. If Evaldi is healthy, then now all of a sudden you have a number 2. You got a guy like Martin Perez you got a guy like Pivetta. You have Sale coming back possibly after the break. I'm telling you, boys, this team could be pretty good. And there's a lot of shitty teams in Major League Baseball. You don't know it, but there are a lot of crappy teams.
It's pretty good.
We seem to be the crappiest last year, so.
But
Yeah.
I watched some of those games. I can't believe the pitching staffs in some of the.
I think the Red Sox are going to be in the wild card race, and if they get off to a decent start and that pitching staff just shows competence, And then you're looking at Sale coming back and their ability to go out and make a trade. Like it's 90 games is not out of the realm of possibility. I totally agree with you.
Do we have a closer? Do we have an official closer?
It's going to be Ottavino. It's going to be.
How's that been going? How's that worked out?
No, Adam
Not
Ottavino.
Matt Barnes. We got that much
First
going.
season with the Red Sox. I like him as a pitcher. The Yankees just pitched him too much.
Okay, he's our closer. You saying that?
I think he's going to be the closer. Yeah, they're not
Official
going to.
closer. I mean, how many teams have you seen done well that don't have a stud that comes out in that? You know.
Yeah, but but I kind of look at closers like goalies in the NHL, Timmy. You never know when they're going to have a great year, right? And a guy who had a great year last year could come out and just crap the bed the next year.
Yeah, we always talk about the relief corps. You're always starting from zero each season. You know, sometimes the same guys come back the next year. They were good last year, and they shit the bed this year. It's different, but they've made some nice moves that I really like. And guys like Dorrance and Hernandez, that's another guy who can go from starter to reliever.
All right, so 90 wins. What place does that put us in?
Well, it puts you in a wild card hunt, Tim. Like it's not
Second
gonna.
or third place.
Yeah,
85. Where does 85 wins put you?
out of the playoffs.
Place.
Yeah.
We're not going to have to worry about that because we're going to have 90 wins, boys.
I just
I'll
just
count
want
my
to
money
make sure
in
that
September. That's all.
I just want to make sure someone gets a drug test over to Scotty Kermit. This is not Dr. Death.
All right. Talk about Rafael.
Wait, I have one question. Who's going to be Scotty's most hated?
It depends on core people.
Who's going to be on Scotty's dead list at the end of the year?
Oh God, you just take a number. I'm guessing Kiki Hernandez. Kiki Hernandez will be dead to Scotty by
Oh,
mid.
Kiki.
Kiki.
He's in Georgia. They like
I
him.
hate Matt Barnes so much already. I can't stand watching him pitch. And just think about it, if we're in the crowd and there's only 12% there, we can make a tangible effect on Matt Barnes' emotional state.
I'm actually beginning to miss those tight seats in Section 8 right now.
I know. All right, so Rafael Devers, I don't know if this is a translation thing. I don't know, but he kind of trashes Mookie Betts, which is just kind of out of left field.
Oh really? I didn't
right?
know that.
Yeah, he says that he wasn't a big fan of Mookie Betts. They really weren't friends, and
Really?
yeah,
I didn't hear that.
yeah, he trashed him. He basically said, yeah, we didn't really kind of get along and stuff. I was like, that's interesting, right? All of a sudden, I know that's not coming from the Red Sox, even though they love that propaganda, right?
Yeah.
Where were you, Raphael, when the deal was done? Usually that's the next day in the Globe. But Rafael Devers kind of decided that he needs to take it to the next level. He's been on the team for a long time, guys. It's time to put up or shut up and become a leader.
Well, I've always wondered whether Rafael has a little bit of Manny Ramirez in him too. Like, didn't know that Mookie Betts was his teammate for a couple of years.
Yeah, right. Yeah, right. Yeah. Right. Well, I just want to mention that we have the 4th pick in the draft.
Oh God,
and
great.
Everybody is going crazy over Leiter, Al Leiter's son.
Yeah.
My God. If we could get a kid like that, it feels almost Pedro-like.
It'd be a lot of fun.
Pitchers we took in the draft. What happened to that kid that we got? The tall kid from New Jersey there who was absolutely
Jay Groom. He had Tommy John surgery. He's bouncing back apparently. So that good.
Kid was a freak.
Yeah.
In school. A freak.
Yeah, big lefty. Yeah.
Oh,
They were screwed up with a top pick Trey Ball out of high school, who now is trying to play the outfield. That's how well that's going.
He even gave up the outfield, Scotty. He's out. He's done.
Oh, he is?
Out of baseball. Terrible.
Disaster. Absolute disaster.
That kid Groom could ever get it together. He had some stuff.
Yeah, he did.
But he's in a point now where, how many years has he been in the system where?
But though, these guys, it's almost like you just wait for him to have Tommy John and then bounce back, He's still young. He'll be fine.
All right, so Carlo, go to the Bruins. Carlo gets hit by Wilson, who's an absolute thug, a piece of trash. And to think that that wasn't even a penalty called on that. They give him a 7-game suspension. Where do we come back to get my brain back? It's outrageous. They only give this guy 7 games. He should be able to come back ×2 when Carlo comes back.
Timmy, what did you think of that?
I thought it was an absolutely filthy hit right to the head. He came in, there was like a bullseye on Carlo's head on that hit. And this one, I wish Sean Thornton was here. Could have gone out and beaten him up 5 times the rest of the game.
Yeah.
Yeah. This one, I was happy we had a 6'6" guy on defense who could go out there and at least, how
about Tenorti jumping in and taking him on?
I like that. But even Frederick, got his clock cleaned by the guy, but at least he had the balls to do it. You know what I mean? Every guy on the team should have stepped up to fight him after that.
Well, to Bergeron's credit, after he scored that goal with Tenorti in the box, he went over and tapped the glasses. And,
Yeah.
Well, they'll make
intimidation is not gone from hockey. Let me tell you right now, it's an intimidation sport. It has a lot to do with it.
Bruins get intimidated all the time. All the teams try it because it's been successful against them. That's why they had to get Tenorti.
Yeah, well, look, obviously Chara they didn't want to mess with Chara, and Chara is no longer there. But it's going to be very interesting if we play the Caps in the playoffs. It'll be a 7-game series. There's a lot of bad blood right there.
All I care is that we do not. All I care is we don't play the Islanders anywhere during the playoffs because the Islanders have our number.
Yeah.
All right, boys. So ESPN finally comes to its senses. I don't understand why now. I don't know why they ever gave up hockey, but ESPN signs an agreement to bring hockey back. Finally, they totally ignored the 4th major sport in this country. It's just a travesty, and it'll just be fun to see Barry Melrose on TV again.
Yeah, right.
You won't see Mike Milbury anymore.
Yeah,
no.
No, hockey's becoming more of a nationwide. You can just see where the kids are coming from now. They're coming from Florida. They're coming from Texas. They're coming from Missouri. They're coming from places that they never came from. It's the sport is it's a great sport, and if you grow up playing hockey, youth hockey, you're loyal to that sport, throughout your life.
Yep.
Look, they do have a problem. It doesn't translate that well for TV, as opposed to being there. It's much more.
The helmets, you don't really see the faces. It's not like you see a Bruin walking down the street and you go, "Oh, there's so and so." You know what I mean? So the helmets has always been a little bit of a.
We're not seeing the goals today.
Well, think about the 70s when the Bruins owned this city. They didn't wear helmets. You knew what every player looked like. You knew, football, you have 8,000 instant replays on every play. You know what I mean?
I have to say that hockey's the game to me that suffered the most from a lack of fans because, just the momentum that gets going during a game, during a fight, but also goal getting scored and the oohs and the ahs and the cheering and everything. I feel it more in hockey than anything else.
I miss going to the hockey games more than the other sports, being in person too.
Yeah, I bet.
I think
it's more like an exhibition game than the other sports.
Yeah.
All right. Well, Don Sweeney was on today and said he's not happy with the team. He definitely wants to shake things up. Who do you think we said Grant Williams is the front of the line to go. Who's in front of the line to go?
The answer, Jake DeBrusk. This is a change of scenery. If I've ever seen a change of scenery player in my lifetime, it's Jake DeBrusk.
And you know what? We could get something for him.
Yeah.
He could be great on another team. He just stinks on the Bruins.
Yeah.
Goes up and down the ice, and doesn't do a damn thing.
Scotty, for once, you're right on a hockey thing.
I had said DeBrusk last week. I just want to mention what position is most important do you want for the Bruins to acquire? Do you want to try to get a stud defenseman or another scorer?
Scoring wing.
Yes, he is.
So the Celtics and the Bruins have the same need.
I'll tell you, and I know I'm going back to the 70s here. I think we need another big tough guy. I think we're still suspect to intimidation. I think we need another guy that can go out and keep the other team in line and say, you're not going to, run our guys. There's a price to pay. That hockey looked like it was going away from that. It's not. It's still there.
All right, give me a player, Timmy.
I don't know. I don't know the league well enough, to bring in some big goon who can beat the crap out of everyone. But I don't.
No, but just one player.
I don't care if the guy can barely skate. You know what I mean?
I love the kid. I love that kid Palmieri from the Devils.
That's the kind of guy you'd like to see.
I just want to score like a dynamic scorer. We got a bunch of young guys who could turn into a player like that, but we don't have a player like that. And this team, the window is closing on Tuca, Marchand, Bergeron, Krejci. Like the window's closing.
Oh, I can't believe you put Krejci in there. Come on, Jesus, Mike. But look, I think that Charlie Coyle, he signed a big contract. He needs to take some responsibility here. He was supposed to be kind of the tough guy, Cam Neely type. He hasn't been that, and he hasn't scored.
He was that.
This year.
That seems to have gone away a little bit this year. I mean, he was
Totally
everything and more we wanted last year.
How many times did we see Coyle get the puck last year and basically play keep away from 6 guys?
Yeah. Give his back to the D and just keep it away, right?
Yeah, and he's just not doing that. I don't know what's wrong with him this year.
Every battle in the corner he used to win. Now he doesn't win any of them.
Yeah.
Joe, as we say, he's got paid. And that's...
But they do, like to Russ's point earlier, they do need someone on that second line.
They got to score.
The Islanders, they squash the first line. They just squash, and then the Bruins can't score a goal.
You got to.
We have 3 lines. Our first lines obviously are what they are, but then we have 3 lines that just go up and down and grind up and down the wing and get some shots from the top of the circle. Those guys that actually are on the score sheet every night, they're so hard to find.
Yeah.
All right, well, that's our show for tonight. Of course, we want to thank everyone behind the scenes. Corbin, we want to thank the fellas. Please check out on our website at thegrandstanders.com and tune in again next Wednesday night at 6:30 for another edition of Grandstanders Live. I'm your host, Scott Kerman. Have a great and happy night.